Hello, my name is Sean Cochran and thank you for joining me today. We're going to talk a little golf swing and hip turn. So as many of you know, I have quite a lot of experience in professional golf as a strength and conditioning professional biomechanist. And what we know, and one component I see, especially with the amateur golfer, is at times there are issues in regards to creating or developing the correct movement pattern within the phases or the biomechanics or mechanics of the golf swing. And when an amateur has a challenge with a certain aspect or movement pattern, when you speed up the swing, when you're playing, it is very difficult to execute that proficiently in order to create a mechanically efficient swing which is sequenced correctly and timed correctly. So one aspect I notice is what we call hip rotation. Now we know that within the mechanics of the golf swing that I rotate around a fixed spine angle. The lower body rotates, the hips rotate, the shoulders rotate. What we sometimes struggle with is creating what I call separation or independent rotation of those body segments. And when we have difficulty with that, what I like to do is I like to take that component out of the golf swing. We're going to train it independently, and then when you go back to practice, you can implement a more efficient movement pattern in sequence with the additional requirements of the golf swing. So today what we're going to look at 3 drills that you will utilize to improve your hip turn in the golf swing. So as we were talking, at times it is challenging for an amateur golfer to rotate the segments of the body independently of one another, which is required of the golf swing. So for example, I'm in my golf posture, rather than rotating hips and then rotating upper body, the amateur will rotate everything at the same time. So as I said, if we're having difficulty with that, we're going to pull the pattern out of the golf swing, we're going to train it independently, and then put it back into the golf swing so that is even more efficient. So when we're talking about hip turn, we know the hips have to rotate independently of the upper body in order to create an X factor, sequence the swing correctly, and create the correct timing. So first drill we're going to work on is I call these rotations. Now you're going to take a foam roller, you can take actually the back of a chair. You're going to take your 5-iron posture, you're going to brace onto your implement, and then from here I just want you to rotate your hips. So what's transpiring here is I'm rotating independently of my upper body, and I'm actually teaching my hips how to rotate independently in order to be more efficient in the golf swing. A single set, 15 repetitions. Now once you've mastered the hip rotation using a foam roll, back of a chair, drill number 2 is going to be a little more dynamic of an action. We're going to call these stork turns. Concepts are still the same. Independently rotate the hips with a fixed upper body. So what I want you to do is, I'm here using a cable column, but you can utilize a wall, whatever you can to brace your upper body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to brace my upper body. I'm going to hook my foot behind my left knee. You're going to repeat this on the opposite leg as well. Now from this position I want a real upright upper body, and then I want you to rotate your hips or your lower half independently, embracing your upper body. What I don't want is I don't want a lot of shoulder movement with the action. So I want you to rotate back and forth, left and right, hips only. And again, we want about 15 repetitions, single set. Now as I said, we're going to do left leg, then right leg. So once you master hip rotations with the foam roll, you're going to move to stork turns. And then once you master stork turns, we're going to move on to exercise number 3. Now exercise 3, as I said, is bent knee leg swings. So this is the 3rd exercise in the progression to work on hip rotation for your golf swing. So after I've mastered stork turns, I'm going to go to what we call a bent leg rotation. So again, I need to brace my upper body. So I'm going to use a cable machine, but you can certainly use a wall, back of a chair if it's high enough. So same concept. I want you to brace your upper body, and then from here I want your knee in line with your hips, and then from this position I want you to aggressively rotate back and forth, and then your left hip is the pivot point. And then again, I don't want a lot of shoulder movement. I want braced upper body, independent rotation of the hips. And again, I'm going to do 15 repetitions. Now, once I get 15 repetitions with my left leg being support, I want to go back and do the same exercise on my right leg. So let's review these 3 exercises progression. So I have the foam roller, hip rotations. Independently rotate the hips, braced upper body. Number 2 is going to be your stork turns. Hands on the wall, hands on something, hook your foot behind your knee, rotate hips only, stable upper body. Exercise number 3, bent knee leg swings. And then again, same concept, brace the upper body, rotate aggressively, the hips only through that rotary movement pattern. And again, we're going to look at 1 set, 15 repetitions of all the exercises. Now let's wrap up this segment and review what we've talked about and what we've learned. And again, if you like what you're viewing, if you want to see more, please press the subscribe button so you can be alerted or messaged of new information upcoming on my page. So as we stated earlier, oftentimes individuals will struggle with independently rotating the hips within the biomechanics or the mechanics of the golf swing. And when you have issues with a movement pattern in a complex athletic action, the best way to learn it is pull that pattern out, work on it independently, and then put it back into the golf swing when you're practicing and playing. So again, as we talked about, we've got 3 exercises in a progression fashion. We have the foam roll hip rotations, I have the stork turns, and then I have bent leg knee swings. Single set, 15 repetitions. Master exercise number 1 before you go to exercise number 2, and then finish off the series with exercise number 3. And if you have additional questions, feel free to message me. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you again.